Hey, welcome to another edition of the Popcast Podcast. I'm John CROC from ActionFigureKing.com, and this is my co-host.
This is Esteban from I Am Esteban TV.
Today we're going to be talking about the classic Batman TV series.
Yes, or anything Batman too. You know?
Anything related to that. That's right.
You can't leave me out in the cold. Not too familiar with the older series.
Right. It's just the well, as everybody knows, the classic series, the DVDs just finally came out.
I know, and I heard they were remastered. I saw like clips comparing like the old version with the new version.
Yeah, and I don't entirely buy that. I think they degrade what they're showing you because it.
You think?
Yeah, it never looked that bad to me.
I mean, both comparisons look fine to me, but it's just crazy how the difference it makes. I
saw the promotional piece with Adam West that they're running, and when they showed the side-by-side comparison,
that's the one I saw too, and I think I saw the one with the Joker also.
The one they were calling the originals looked really, really bad to me. I mean, I do think that they kind of played it up a little bit.
I mean, of course they always do that, you know.
Because I recorded those shows, 10 or so years ago when they were on cable, and they definitely didn't look that bad. I mean, I wanted them to look better, but they didn't look that bad. Now, the thing with the DVDs is that I don't know all the legalities behind it, but the reason it's such a big deal that these discs are coming out now is that they were tied up with some sort of who owned the rights. Which,
like always.
which I don't quite get because, I mean, clearly it's Warner Brothers / DC property. So I guess back in the day when they were making TV shows, it must have been different. And
yeah, it must have been. That's what I'm saying. Like, things happened, 30, 40 years ago. Somebody has a piece of paper in their attic saying, "Oh, actually, I have the rights to this."
I guess that's the only thing I could figure because obviously anything that's Batman belongs to DC and Warner.
Yeah, but what happened with Fox and Sony? Marvel rents out, I guess.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Their licenses or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but I would think that, like, in this day and age, the contracts must be written differently. Like with all the.
Oh yeah, I think knowing now how big the superhero stuff is and the comic book stuff is and how people are going to appreciate things down the road, I think the contracts are definitely a lot better now.
Yeah, I mean, I think with all the stuff that DC's got on TV currently, I'm pretty sure that they've retained those rights fully. Maybe CW is producing Arrow, but I'm sure that Warner and DC still own, the rights to distribute it however they want, whenever they want.
Well, like I said, back in when did the Batman show come out? Like 60, 70?
66, yeah.
66?
Yeah.
So, I would figure back in 1966, I don't think they had an idea of how big Batman will be, I guess,
Right.
Who could have, foreseen this whole entire admiration with Batman and comic book heroes down the road, and people want to see, like, the older stuff again, So I guess no one foresaw that. So I guess, like you said, contracts weren't written differently than now,
Right, and clearly there was no aftermarket for TV shows. You didn't buy them on VHS or DVD or rent them or anything like that.
Exactly. Technology too. Netflix and DVD, VHS tapes and everything. I guess they didn't think about that, or just didn't realize about it,
Right. So with the release of the DVDs, there's coming this huge explosion right now of Batman, and in particular Batman, this classic TV series Batman stuff. And in addition, this is Batman's 75th birthday this year.
Yeah.
So you're getting this incredible influx right now of Batman product. For me, growing up, in the 70s and early 80s, I knew the Batman show in reruns, and that was the thing. Like, you would come home from school and you'd flip on the TV, and for me it was that and the old 1960s Spider-Man cartoon. I used to love to watch those two shows after school. And that show, the Batman show, was known for the cliffhanger. So you'd have the one episode where they would get involved with a villain, and by the end of that episode, the villain would have them in some elaborate trap where they had to escape from.
That's how every episode ended, was a cliffhanger.
Pretty much, yeah. I think nearly all of them are cliffhangers.
Oh, so then the next episode, though, they will reveal how they got out, or?
Yeah, and originally, now I don't remember this because the series started in '66, but originally the show, I think it would air on Tuesday and Wednesday nights or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think on Tuesday they would air the cliffhanger, and then on Wednesday night they would have the conclusion.
Oh, okay, so that's how it was set up a little bit differently.
Yeah, so and it's weird. It's weird because I think that was kind of revolutionary for that time. Like, you know, TV was pretty standard. You had 30-minute shows, you had 1-hour shows. They were on once a week. And back then, I mean, even me growing up, and you probably remember this too, the seasons would run from basically September to early spring, and then it would go into reruns. But now it's like a free-for-all. You never know when a show is coming on the air or when it's going to go into repeats.
Yeah, and that's the thing I really get annoyed with TV. Like, I feel like I wish there was like a season of new shows, and then like summer it would be all reruns. That's what new shows happen all the time.
Right, and that's what it used to be. I mean, it used to be very straightforward, but it had to do with life was very different. You know, like I think TV stations knew that they could count on lower ratings in the summer because people were out and doing stuff. You know, they weren't at home watching TV. But now we've got all these different markets where they can
tablets, phones.
Right. And look at how many people aren't even watching TV on a TV, right? They're watching it on devices. How many young people now don't even own TVs?
Oh, not even TVs. They only own cable.
Right.
For that matter of fact.
Well, right.
We just have to take it a step farther, you know?
And I'm showing my age because back in the day, a TV was a TV. You know, you bought a TV and it was for receiving, you know, network TV. Nowadays, there's, you know,
I think that's even the wrong word to call our TVs anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I'm sitting here looking at a Vizio, which is a TV, but it is my computer monitor, and I don't have any cable hooked up to this thing. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, TV definitely is the wrong word to call it.
I just realized that, and I know like the new word they're throwing out there is called smart TVs.
Yeah.
Also, now the TVs carry all the apps like Netflix and Hulu and Facebook and all that stuff, whatever. Right. So you don't even need cable as long as you're connected to the internet. Right. You're good to go.
And you can just I mean, you can see stuff one way or another. So with the Batman series now, we've got this explosion, right, of products. And some of the stuff I've seen is really cool. I mean, there's all the characters based on the classic TV series, and you probably know. I mean, the classic TV series for a long time was referred to as camp. And when it became old, you know, in the 80s, and just before they did the Michael Keaton Batman movie, they really wanted to move away from it. They kind of wanted to almost pretend like it didn't exist.
Well, I mean, like I said, you know, things got to evolve, things got to change. You know, it can't be all campy the whole entire time, you know. Everyone wants to see their favorite superheroes in different lights, and that's how you keep her fresh, you know? Right. And that's what matters at the end of the day. That's how we have our dark Batman now, not our original campy Batman we had before. Right. And a lot of people don't appreciate the campy Batman, though.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, at the time, it was huge. When the series started, it just exploded. And it wasn't like they did something so original, but what they did was they captured the essence of what the books were about, the early Batman books.
Well, I've never gotten a chance to read the early Batman books, so I'm guessing you read it, right?
I've read a lot of them. Yeah, I have a lot of them in reprints and stuff.
So the early Batmans were just like that, just like how the Adam West Batman was.
Well, it got to that point. You know, originally the original Batmans were more of detective type mystery book. But later on, you start to see where they have the Batman who's always smiling with the big dimples, and Robin's following him around and stuff. And, you know, into the 50s and 60s, this is what the book did become. Very colorful, very almost, well, from this standpoint, definitely very predictable. And he had his roster of villains, just like the ones you saw on the show: the Joker, the Riddler, Catwoman, Mr. Freeze, the Penguin. So, yeah, I mean, they based it very much on what was happening in the comic book. And Adam West apparently was growing up, he was a huge fan of the comic book, and he loved the idea of playing Batman, and he loved the idea of the whole campiness of it. He loved the first time he walked into the Batcave and saw, you know, like the way everything was labeled and really kind of over-the-top hokey. And what you really have to give them credit for is when you hear me talking about this, even if you're not familiar with it, you can tell that it's geared towards a very young audience, right? Like that type of concept.
Well, I would guess so, you know, because, like, when did it run? Like, late at night, or?
I think it was in an 8 o'clock time slot.
Okay, but I guess he was more geared towards the kids demographic?
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. When you hear the premise, right, with everything being labeled and these very simplistic stories and colorful suits and colorful villains and stuff, it seems very infantile. And yet, they managed to appeal to a broad demographic. There were tons of innuendos in the show. I mean, always.
Well, I think that's a key thing, though. Like, especially with shows that are meant for kids.
Yeah.
They want to be able to make at least the parents watchable for the parents.
Right.
So I think they make a lot of innuendos on purpose to keep the parents entertained somewhat.
But considering that it was 1966, this was, I mean, they did a really revolutionary and good job with what they did. So I give them a lot of credit. And the fact that it is still popular today is a testament to what a good job they did with this series.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I love, for me, this is something I can watch with my kids versus the Chris Nolan Batman films, you know, which are so dark and kind of too adult for them. Like nowadays, they also, you were alluding to this, they try to capture different markets too, right? They don't want just the adult Batman. They want, you know, they just did the Brave and the Bold series, which was a huge hit, right? But that also had that kind of playful goofiness to it as well. So there's this explosion of products that have come out. A lot of them revolve around the 66 series, and Mattel is doing a line of figures.
I've seen them too. I don't know if you've seen them with the Batman surfing Batman. And,
exactly. Yeah. No, I don't know how many of the episodes you know, but that is actually an episode where Joker and Batman have a contest, a surfing contest.
See, why can't they put that in the Christopher Nolan film? I would love to see that. That would be the great conclusion of how The Dark Knight ended. See,
and that's the complete like insanity of the 66 series. So Batman and the Joker show up, you know, in their regular get-ups, and then they have their surfing shorts on over their costume, and they actually surf in the episode. It's just bizarre. And Mattel chose to make versions of these figures.
But like you said before, like how we talked about with the Monster Universe, I guess they put it out there to see the response of it. If it would be a good idea to revive, I guess,
right,
this part of Batman that people really don't know much about.
Yeah, I mean, I think also there's a lot of like it's almost like cherry picking. There's so much. This product's all out there, and maybe it's lost to a generation or two. So now they can put it out there again, and they can just kind of get money almost out of nowhere.
Again, yeah, I know. More money for them.
Yeah. Another one that I've seen, there's a company which, in fact, is no relation to me, this CROC. They make a lot of collectibles. And,
sure.
Yeah,
Wink.
no, really. I've actually spoken with the guy. We were trying to trace lineage and stuff, but we're not related.
That's funny.
And they do a lot of oddball collectibles, and they have DC licensing right now.
Wow.
Back in the 70s when Mego was huge, they used to have these bendy figures, which were about, 5 or 6 inches tall, and they just have it's a rubber outer material with wires running through the inside.
Yeah.
So it's not articulated in the sense of like a real action figure, but you can bend it into different positions and stuff. So this CROC right now is making DC products, and they just made like a kind of Justice League, vintage-looking Justice League, and they also made the classic Batman figures.
Well, actually, I know we're going a little off topic though, but I always was interested. How do smaller companies like that get licensing rights like that?
Well, I think what happens is basically anybody can approach DC or Marvel and say, listen, I want to make this sort of a product, and they have people who will tell you, well, Hasbro's doing this, Mattel's doing this company's doing that, and back in the day it was really strict. I mean, it was hard. Like generally you had Hot Wheels and Matchbox, and they made cars, but nowadays it's like you could go into a store and you'll see 5 different car lines from Marvel or DC, and it's kind of weird. So the rules are a little bit convoluted now, and I guess it's in the way the contracts are written. But maybe Matchbox is making 1/64th scale, and they're going to allow you to do 1/32nd, or something along those lines.
Yeah, as long as something doesn't, I guess, interfere with their competitors that's already doing it?
Exactly. So basically, you go to them and you say, "Listen, I want to produce these products," and they say, "Well, what type of product is it?" And in this case, they're saying, "We want to make bendy figures. We know there were bendy figures in the '70s, and we want to do that. Nobody's doing that right now." Okay. And I'm sure that the DC and Marvel have a lot of say so in saying, "Well, we'll give you." We'll give you X-Men, but we won't give you Fantastic Four, or we'll give you, Batman, but we won't give you Superman, that type of thing.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then, unfortunately, for the people who are ambitious enough to try this stuff, I think you probably have to put up a lot of money. You have to say, well, I'm gonna make this initial investment of whatever it is, $250,000 to get these products started. And, in the contract, it's going to say... Marvel or DC would have to say, well, you have to guarantee us this much revenue, and we get whatever it is, 50, 60% of sales.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's really high. I mean, this is why they license the stuff out so quickly, because it's pretty much all profit for them.
Jesus, I know. But I didn't know how much they made that much profit off the licensing.
I mean, I'm throwing out that number. I don't know specifically, but I would guess it's pretty high, because look, if NJ Croce tried to manufacture bendy figures and they didn't have characters, who would buy them?
Yeah, that is true, too.
I mean, all these companies are doing the same thing, right? Matchbox is selling, trying to leverage the Marvel name, the DC name. That's what's selling their products. There is cross-branding, obviously, that happens. Like Monopoly is powerful on its own, but when you brand Monopoly with another product like Disney or Marvel...
Oh, yeah, we see all the special game boards all the time.
Yeah. I mean, this is becoming huge, and it's almost becoming confusing, because some of them are done so common now that you almost forget that, Monopoly is a standalone thing. I've got quite a few of those. I got Monopoly X-Men, Monopoly Marvel Superheroes. Yeah, I mean, it's just tons of that goes on.
Oh, anyway, back to, I guess, the 1966 Batman.
Yeah.
I know.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of products. I've seen these bendy figures and the Mattel figures, and there's a lot of independent figures. But one thing I have not seen is Batgirl, done in the Yvonne Craig style, which is the actress who played her on the series.
Yeah.
And again, I don't have proof of this, but I'm convinced the only rationale behind this must be because she's still alive and well. She probably has not signed a contract allowing them to use her likeness.
Because you're talking about for the action figures, or?
Yeah, for all this classic TV series stuff.
I'm trying to put my head together to this.
Who she is?
No, like, have I seen any Batgirl toys of her?
Well, there was in the last 10 years
recently.
there was a Barbie Batgirl, but it was generic. It wasn't based on. Yeah.
That's the only thing that can come to mind, really.
Now, if you go on the Action Figure King site, under custom figures, there's a Batman section, and I have a bunch of customs that I bought through eBay, and they're phenomenal. They're based on the classic TV series, but obviously these aren't licensed products. These are onesie-twosies that somebody made. Yeah. That is the only instance I think I've ever seen a Batgirl figure that resembled Yvonne Craig.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, but I don't think I've seen any. Even with the new Mattel Batman... Surfing Batman, I don't think I saw a Batgirl either. No. You got Catwoman, Riddler, Penguin, I believe there's a Robin, but you have to buy a 2-pack to get it. Yeah, no, there's a 2-pack, yes, I remember. Yeah, there's Joker, but no Batgirl. Now, oh, wow. So, the actors who are still alive are Burt Ward, who played Robin, Adam West, who played Batman, Catwoman's alive, Batgirl's alive. All the villains, I believe, now are dead. Oh. Batman finally won. Yeah, so I guess when that happens, it's taken up with the estate, whoever owns, who's now in charge of the estate, and obviously they're getting a likeness for all these guys. Burgess Meredith. Do you know who? Did you know that Burgess Meredith was the Penguin? And do you know Burgess Meredith's other big role? No. What was her other big role? Okay, you may be blown away right now. I remember because these are two of my favorite things as a kid, and I never made the connection. So Burgess Meredith was the Penguin, and Burgess Meredith was Mickey in the Rocky series. Mickey? Oh, wow. Yeah. That was exactly my reaction when I found this out. Oh, wow, yeah. That's, the Penguin. The Penguin training Rocky.
About 10, 11 years later.
Wow, that's doesn't even resemble each other.
Yeah, and then later on, he was known for grumpy old men. So Burgess Meredith and Catwoman was played by several characters. Catwoman was played in the movie version by Lee Merriweather. Were you aware that there was an actual Batman TV series movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I remember. Like, he's on the beach and there's a bomb over his head.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Yeah. I think, that was part of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing the movie then.
That was the camp at its best. I mean, he's running around with a lit typical cartoon bomb, with a round thing with a fuse on top of it, and he's running back and forth, and he can't dispose of it.
Yeah, just, I think that's what we're missing today's society, some just campiness, Everything's so serious and dark and stuff.
Well, I do think this is why the Brave and the Bold animated series did well. I think it played off a lot of that. Besides the fact there was a Brave and the Bold comic book, which was very popular, but I think the Brave and the Bold animated series was more true to the classic 66 live action series than it was to the comic book.
Yeah.
The comic book was more of a serious, comic book for the time period, and it just took on Batman teaming up with somebody. That animated series definitely played off of the Batman TV show a lot.
Yeah.
So, Lee Merriweather, who played Catwoman in the movie, and that was because I believe, not that, God, I can't think of her name, and she's my favorite. The actress it wasn't that she didn't want to play the part, it was that she was busy with something else, because obviously she came back for the second season to reprise the role. Towards the end of the series, I think she left, because then you had Eartha Kitt, who played Catwoman. So that was the only character on the show to be played by 3 people. The Riddler was played by 2 people, was made popular by Frank Gorshin, who was absolutely perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess towards the end of the second season was picked up by the actor who played the father on The Addams Family.
Oh, okay. I get you now, yeah.
What I hated about him was he had his mustache, his trademark mustache. And there's a funny thing with mustaches on that show, because obviously he was attached to his and didn't want to shave it. And this was another one that blew me away, because I never realized it as a kid. But Cesar Romero, the Joker, when you look closely, you can see he had the same issue. He refused to shave his mustache.
Well, see, that's the thing I don't understand. What's the big deal with shaving your mustache? It's going to grow back in a couple weeks.
Yeah. These guys were like kind of iconic actors. They did a lot of movie roles and stuff, and they felt they were known. This was who they were. So they just put white makeup right over his mustache, and I never noticed it as a kid. Maybe I wasn't observant.
No, I noticed that, but I'm just saying, like, for me, it's just like, it doesn't take you grow a mustache a couple of weeks.
I agree.
After filming, just let it grow back, and you're fine.
Yeah. So
actors.
Burgess Meredith owned Penguin. He was always the Penguin. And then you had some characters who you may not realize as well. The character Bookworm was played by Roddy McDowall, who was also
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, Cornelius and Galen. And there was another ape on the show as well.
Of course, and
the
apes had to get work somewhere,
I can't think of the villain's name, but it was Maurice Evans who played Dr. Zaius in the Planet of the Apes series.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this in the previous podcast where he played on the Batman series.
And it wasn't one of the more popular villains. I think he was on maybe 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And then you had Mr. Freeze, who was pretty good. I used to actually hate seeing some of these subsequent ones. Art Carney from Honeymooners fame was on as an archer. And he wasn't one of the more interesting villains. But, what happened with the show was it became so hot that celebrities were actually fighting to get on it.
I'm guessing, guest stars and guest appearances, I guess.
Even cameo guest appearances, and a lot of those wound up being the famous shot that you would see where Batman and Robin are scaling the side of a building, and somebody would pop their head out.
Yeah.
So these celebrities, if they couldn't get a role as a main character on the show, they would actually settle for a guest cameo coming out a window. Even Dick Clark was on an episode. Dick Clark of American Bandstand fame.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm not gonna lie. Probably after this conversation, I'm definitely probably gonna end up watching the series now.
Yeah.
I'm very interested. I mean, I've seen clips and episodes here and there, but I definitely want to actually sit down and watch all this.
It captures so much of just what so many people love about comic books. The kind of the goofiness, over the top. Good guys basically can't fail. I mean, no matter how elaborate the trap is, they never get hurt.
Yeah.
There's no dark side to it at all. And some people may hate that, but a lot of people just love that.
Well, my thing is with especially when I'm an avid comic book reader,
Mm-hmm.
and I know a lot of people that get a lot of hate on for liking Deadpool.
Right.
I'm an avid comic book reader.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of flack for liking Deadpool. And
Why?
that's the thing. Because a lot of people think, Deadpool is a lot of campiness, a lot of jokes, a lot of stuff with that,
Well, let me ask you something about Deadpool. I saw him recently on Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Now, when
I've seen clips.
When you say campiness, I don't really think of Deadpool as campy, because we've discussed Deadpool. To me, he's so over the top, kind of extreme, not for kids. That I know you have that same opinion.
But that's the thing I like about Deadpool a lot.
Sure.
He can be written that way for kids. That's why obviously he's on the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon,
That was like I didn't really see him fitting in there, because that is a very kid-friendly show.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like such a watered-down version of Deadpool, and I'm not a big fan of him, but I was thinking, wow, this isn't really the appropriate venue for Deadpool other than to give him more exposure.
Well, that's the thing. That's the reason why I like Deadpool. The reason why this is my thing for him. He's so nutty and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Any way you write him is fine.
Yeah.
He can be campy. He can be dark. He can be serious. Next day, he can be sad and depressed. That's why I like Deadpool. So there's so many elements and so many stories that can be written about him.
Right.
So you kind of get bored of the character.
Right.
That's why I like him.
And I mean, Marvel's got to love the character too, because he really is faceless, right? So you don't really put an actor behind it. I know that
Yeah.
Green Lantern actor is kind of tied to the role now, but people don't really see it's different than like with Wolverine or Superman, where you don't have a mask and you see the face so much.
Yeah, exactly. I remember the trailer that came out, the CGI trailer.
Yeah.
It was just Ryan Reynolds' voice. It wasn't even him acting.
Right.
So if they wanted to, you could be the voice actor and not really have him dressed up as Deadpool if they really wanted to,
Yeah, I mean, because that's a testament to the character and the power of the character. People don't really care about the actors. So
yeah, exactly.
Marvel has a property that is truly theirs. They don't have to pay somebody. They don't have to worry about somebody getting old or about somebody trying to break their contract. I mean, it's theirs and they can do it.
Yeah, just get a new voice. It doesn't even have to be the same actor acting in the suit.
Yeah.
Just like how Darth Vader, played by the
David Prowse.
Exactly. It wasn't David Prowse in the suit. It was just his voice.
Well, sorry. Yeah, David Prowse is actually the actor, and then can't think of his name right now. Is the voice.
The very guy with the deep voice.
Right.
I forget his name too.
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly. And that could be the same thing right there,
Yeah.
But anyway, back to my point was Deadpool. Anyway, so that's why a lot of people don't like Deadpool, because he can be campy at times and make a lot of jokes about breaking the fourth wall and stuff.
Right.
But for me, it's different. I get to read something different compared to my other comics I read. It's just, something to change it up a bit.
Right. I think what a lot of people miss too with all this stuff, when you say about breaking the fourth wall, that needs to be done properly, and that comes down to the writing. The writer. People don't realize how important the writing is, whether it's a TV show, an animated series, or a comic book. The writer plays such a big part in how this is done, and if it's done properly, and if it's successful.
Yeah, of course, the writing, Deadpool writing, has to be good. Obviously, I'm not gonna enjoy it at all, but like I said, there's different elements out there, and everyone enjoys something different. Sometimes you want to be sad or depressed, or watch something sad and depressed.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to laugh and watch something campy, a movie that makes no sense, but it was good.
So maybe what's happened is they've pushed us so far in this dark, gritty direction that now people are ready for some of this lighthearted stuff.
And I think that's probably what's happening. You know, everything's so dark now, like Gotham and the Christopher Nolan movies, and you know, Marvel movies are a little deep in tone sometimes. You know.
Yeah.
Well, Marvel is able to balance it pretty well in their films. You know.
You know, stop me if I mention this recently. I saw a photo of, not a photo, an illustration, comic book style illustration. It was a really good drawing showing Batman and Robin. They were obviously victims. They were tied up on their hands and knees. And the Joker was blowing out Batman's brains. The bullet, I guess, had just pierced his skull, and Robin was turning and looking. They were both on their knees and just in shock. And it was exactly what I felt when I saw this image, because we've seen so much of this recently, you know, with ISIS and all this stuff on the news, and people being killed. And as gritty as this stuff has gotten, you still never see the main hero really ever comes to any serious harm, and certainly not fatal harm. To see Batman in this position, you know,
like I said, you know, just got to do things to spice it up a bit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
know.
know.
Every story has a happy book ending, which I don't mind.
And I don't know that this was an authorized piece or if
probably
it was just fan art or something.
Most likely it was probably fan art. I really doubt Marvel would do that.
DC.
You know, or DC.
Yeah, I mean, I found it very, very disturbing. I found it to be a very disturbing
Trust me, if
image.
DC did that, I think I would have caused some like really big heat, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it could have been a dream sequence or an alternate reality or something, but it was a very incredibly disturbing image to see Batman as a victim, and there's no recovering from this. Batman has been shot through the skull. He's dead. It's over. I mean, I just found it incredibly disturbing.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, search for it. You may find it. Maybe somebody could shed some light on what it is, if it was, you know, an authorized piece.
I mean, I'll take a look at it, but I really doubt it was an authorized piece, to be honest. I know how the comic book industry is, and
the only thing that
they would call a lot of flack for it.
The only thing that makes me suspect that it could be done by DC is that it was so well done. And I know that there are some really good fans out there, but I have a background in art and marketing and stuff, and a lot of times, as good as something is, there's little things that tip you off that it's not. This didn't have any of that. I mean, this looked like a really good modern drawing of Batman and Robin. It was just the subject matter that was so off base for me.
I don't know. It's tough because, you know, how everyone makes a big fuss about everything. I know with the new Harley Quinn issue that came out,
right?
The Scratch and Sniff.
Right.
There was two versions. I don't know if you heard about it. There's two versions.
No.
There's Scratch and Sniff with the one with the Christmas tree scent.
Yeah.
And the other one was with marijuana smell. So obviously they call a lot of flap for the marijuana smell, or whatever. So they made a big deal about that. I would think they would make a big deal about Batman getting his brain shot off.
You would think, but you know what?
You know.
People are so ridiculously conservative. I mean, I've never smoked marijuana. I know the smell very well because I've been near it, walked by people smoking it.
Very distinct smell.
Very distinct smell, right? And I can't tell you how many times I've burned leaves, you know, cleaned up leaves and stuff and burned them and been like, God, that smells like marijuana. I mean, do all plants smell the same? So I'm sure, obviously, from a cost standpoint, that it wasn't really marijuana.
Yeah.
People are crazy.
You know how people are. But back to the campiness, so I think that's what it is. It's just people are just getting tired, maybe.
They're starting to embrace it, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to find out. The campiness Batman. Because, I think it's getting too far now with the ISIS and everything that's going on and stuff.
Yeah.
I think people need a little breath of fresh air about something cheerful and colorful, like Adam West Batman.
And like I was saying, it is cyclical because the TV show, the 66 TV show ran its course. As successful as it was.
Mm-hmm. How long did it last?
It was only on for 2 seasons. It was actually...
Oh, wow. I thought it was longer than that.
Well, no, and part of that probably is the 2-parters, right? So I think you got a lot more episodes than you would out of a normal show. But when it was canceled, another network wanted to pick it up, and they were ready to. And this is one of these things that just kills you as a fan. In the end, they didn't pick it up because the Batcave had already been destroyed.
Wow.
So for them, it was a no-brainer to say, yeah, we're going to pick up the series. We got the actors, we got all the props, we got everything we need.
Yeah.
But then once they found out that this huge element that was needed for the show was destroyed, it was like, oh no, forget it.
Oh, why can't you just remake it, I guess?
Well, they were looking at it from a business standpoint, and it was like, well, if there's no investment really to make here, we know what the salaries are, we know what the production costs are, we've got our sets, we got our car, we got everything we need. Now, this huge element, the entire set, was gone.
The Batcave gone.
I
Damn
mean,
you, Alfred.
It's just to imagine, like, there could have been more episodes. Wow. Now, granted, we had lost two of our main villains. Catwoman and Riddler had been replaced.
Yeah, but like I said, it was always replaceable. They're just unmasked and stuff, so.
Yeah, and a mustache.
Yeah, and a mustache. But I know one thing I definitely want to touch base upon. Yeah. Definitely since we're talking about Batman. Mm-hmm. It's always the greatest argument is his villains. Mm-hmm. Obviously, for me, I think Batman has the best villains. Well,
they always say that a hero is only as interesting as his villains.
I think the only person that comes close to Batman's villains is Spider-Man's villains. Mm-hmm. And I obviously know the Joker's number one, but other characters you would think, I think that they're more as important as Joker. Would you be able to pick it?
Well, I think the core group that was on this TV series are his top four, which is Catwoman, Riddler, Penguin, and Joker. Those are his main villains. And then you've got guys like Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
And something that DC has done well throughout the years is, and I think with Spider-Man as well, Marvel has done the same thing. They've added new villains throughout the years. So with Batman, you got Bane later on.
Yeah.
Which, tons of villains come and go, but they're not.
The core ones, I guess, they're always there. Penguin, Joker, Riddler, Catwoman.
And again, but then sometimes a character like Bane comes and boom, he becomes up there with them because, he's just going to be around forever because he's such an integral part of the real story of Batman. He broke his back.
Yeah, I know. What was the funny part, though, is Bane wasn't that big until the Christopher Nolan movies,
Well, he might have slipped back into the background, but when they did that story...
Oh, yeah, that story arc was huge, yes, don't get me wrong. But I think after that story arc, it was like, who's Bane? Oh, that was the guy that broke Batman's back. Oh, okay, and that was pretty much it,
Well, I think what was good about Bane, too, is that it was an interesting character because here's a guy who's using basically steroids, drugs to juice himself up. So he had that interesting angle. And then, of course, he's Spanish or something. So, they were filling all these kind of very different than, the Joker or the Riddler or the Penguin. And there's a lot of secondary Batman villains too. I like Man-Bat. He's
Man-Bat, yes. You would think Man-Bat would be like a big villain, But
yeah.
I guess not.
Well, he's had his time. If you look up old 70s Batman books, Neil Adams era, you'll find a lot of books that have Man-Bat on them. Man-Bat's interesting because he's like the Hulk. He's not really a villain. He's kind of misunderstood, kind of gets into bad situations and stuff. And I think that Mr. Freeze also with the animated series was brought to the forefront.
Oh, yes. Mr. Freeze, definitely.
They made him more, you feel bad for him because of his situation. He's not just a villain, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with the 66 series, I don't think any of that came into play. I think he was just a straight-out villain. And I don't mind straight-out villains. I think Marvel goes too far towards making you sympathetic towards their villains now, and they have too much of a gray area.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. That's what they're starting to do now.
Yeah, I think a villain who falls into the gray area, or a hero for that matter, can be interesting. Somebody like the Punisher. But by the same token, when you push somebody so far in one direction, you take Captain America on one side, right, and you go all the way on the evil side. You've got like the Joker, maniacal, just straight evil. That's interesting too. How much more interesting can you get than somebody who's just completely corrupt and evil and doesn't have any conscience?
Yeah, and that's, I think, what makes the Joker the best villain out of everyone, out of a lot of characters.
Yeah.
There's no really backstory about him, and there's no reason why to his craziness or insanity,
Yeah.
He just does it because he wants to.
And that's the thing. I mean, look, we all live in this world, and I've known people who are just messed up. You know, they don't have a backstory. That's just the way they are. And unfortunately, when you're exposed to them, you say, okay, well, that's the way this guy is. There's no redeeming him. There's no justification for the way he behaves. He's just a bad guy.
Yeah, I know. And I know the running storyline is, how come, Batman, Bruce Wayne doesn't kill the Joker.
Right.
After Joker, paralyzes Batgirl.
Right.
And then kills Robin and stuff. You think Bruce would kill him by now, would have killed him by now.
Right. I think this is a difference between Wolverine and Batman, that DC has made a conscious decision that Batman does not kill. The same way he doesn't use guns, he doesn't kill.
Yeah.
As much of a vigilante as he is, as much as he wants justice, he doesn't kill. And I think a lot of people who, find themselves on the right side of the law kind of feel that way. This is this whole argument of the death penalty. Some people feel like you don't go down to that level because then you're behaving the same way they do.
Yeah.
Better than them.
And I think that's what they also did with Spider-Man recently with Superior Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
Where Doc Ock switched bodies, and then because it was really weird. I was reading the comic Superior Spider-Man, and obviously wasn't really Spider-Man.
Right.
But just to see Spider-Man shoot a guy in the head with a gun.
Right.
Was really like eye-opening for me. Like, wait, what? Spider-Man doesn't do this.
See, so this is the same thing like I'm saying about the other image. It's so disturbing because it's not what you know. When you really know these characters and you see something like that, it's upsetting almost.
Yeah, it was. It really bothered me. I'm like, Spider-Man doesn't do this.
Yeah.
But then again, it's Doc Ock or Spider-Man or whatever at the time. He said himself, if I don't kill this guy, he's gonna end up killing more people.
Right.
Might as well just do it now, and then he's never gonna harm anyone ever again. Because, the premise was this bad guy. He was a very low-key bad guy, so it's not like he killed off like a, hobgoblin or something.
Right.
It was very low. I think it was not even like a D-lister, maybe like a Z-lister villain, whatever.
He was expendable.
It was expendable. He had people hostage at the Grand Central train station.
Right.
He had hostages. He had a gun waving at people. Spider-Man's like, I gotta take this guy out before he hurts somebody.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I think too that in real life, most people don't see themselves as the villain. I think that would make for kind of a really interesting villain if there's ever been such a person who says, yeah, I'm the bad guy. I'm doing screwed up stuff. I accept it. I totally own it, and I'm good with that. But
Joker,
I guess he could be like that, right? He just doesn't give a crap. He doesn't care about his image and stuff, and acknowledges that he is the bad guy.
Yeah.
But I think for most villains, they don't really say. They always have a justification. The government's corrupt, or I need the money, or my wife is sick, or my kid is sick, or whatever it is.
Yeah, Mr. Freeze, obviously, with his wife, and because I don't know, I'm not really sure what the Penguin's backstory was. Do you know why Penguin was the Penguin?
I don't think he's had an origin. I think that's what makes Gotham so great for people who are not watching the show. They have no idea what they're missing. This is a great telling of Penguin's origin, and you mark my words that in years to come, the comic book medium is going to pick up on some of these elements and introduce them into the comic book world.
Oh, trust me, I think DC's definitely in the works of like a Penguin story arc soon, or something with Penguin soon. I think ever since this TV series and hopping off, and like everyone just likes the Penguin now.
Yeah, because this is what happens. Batman animated series from the 90s spawned Harley Quinn, and she made her way into the comic book universe because the character was so hot and so interesting and such a great idea. Not all the best ideas come from right out of the comic book, the source material. Sometimes they come from these secondary things.
And they pick it up.
Yeah, and I think this is a case where they are going to latch onto this Penguin story because it's great. And it's not just a great story about the Penguin, but it kind of ties the characters together, right? Because it brings him into such intertwined history with Jim Gordon.
Yeah, and I always feel like Penguin always had a backseat to the Joker for some reason.
Right.
And I always thought Penguin was actually a pretty good villain on his own.
Yeah.
But he never got enough credit, though.
Well, what's great, too, is that I think we're finally, the same way you're saying maybe camp is coming back around, I think we're moving back towards these more colorful type things. You know, when I was a kid, when you looked back in the 40s and 50s and stuff, you had Dick Tracy and the Batman villains and stuff, and they were all colorful names, you know, Penguin and Two-Face and stuff, right? And they embodied just the name. Yeah, when you heard the name, they embodied it. And that was the way life was. People would give characters nicknames based on how they behaved or how they looked and stuff, especially with Dick Tracy. All the Dick Tracy villains were called the most obvious things.
Yeah.
And I think we got to a point where we're almost too we're too adult for that, you know. That's a little too comical. But I think we're coming around now where people can appreciate that. I mean, look, in real life, children do it all the time, right? You make fun of another kid, you know, because of whatever, the way they look or something.
Adults still do that too, so.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the fact that in Gotham, Cobblepot doesn't embrace this Penguin name. He doesn't want it.
Yeah.
But it's going to stick.
Yeah. Well, I think there's going to be a point down the series that he's going to be like, I am the Penguin, or something like that. He's going to finally accept the name.
I agree. I think there's going to be a point where he's going to say, screw it, I am the Penguin Man.
Yeah.
That's who I am.
And then just throw somebody off the building or something.
Right.
You know, but, well, like I always, you know, a lot of people, too, don't realize that, you know, we grow up, whatever, we're still kids at heart at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel that's why, you know, hence that's why a lot of grown-ups like comic books, still like action figures, still like the campiness of it all.
Right.
You know, is that some of us like to admit it more than others. You know, that's my take on it. You know,
some of us are in the closet there.
Yeah, exactly.
Peek in, and they're in there with a comic book or a box of action figures.
Yeah, like, you know, life is too serious. Sometimes it's good to be goofy once in a while. You know?
Absolutely. And Batman classic TV series is definitely a way to be goofy. Lighthearted fun, man. That's what I like.
Yeah, just, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. And lighthearted fun, campiness, you know, everyone enjoys it. You know, like, you know, Mr. Bean, for example.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's so crazy. I tell a lot of people about Mr. Bean.
Mm-hmm.
It was a highly successful, like one of the most successful TV shows ever produced.
Right.
Because there was no language. It was all campy. You know, you didn't have to, like, translate it into other languages. And it was, like in what, like 90 countries showing?
I think for some people there's a deliberate... You know? I know, like, with me, like, when I got into probably my 20s, I hated almost camp. Not Batman. I mean, that was always dear to me. But certain things, like, you know, the airplane movies?
Yeah.
You know that type of humor? That really over the top. I hated those movies. I used to see them and be like, God, this is so stupid. Why would anybody laugh at this? And I think that's what happens. You go through life and you do change. I mean, I see that stuff now.
And now you're laughing.
I laugh my ass off. I'm like, God, this is so funny.
Yeah. That happens a lot.
So I think that happens with a lot of people. I think that as you become an adult,
life beats the crap out of you.
Well, no, I think first when you're a kid.
So then listen. That's what I think. My theory is, life takes a toll on you. Life beats the crap at you. Then you get the over top humor, like, oh, that's funny.
Exactly.
Like, you know?
And at the beginning, you're moving out of childhood and you want to be an adult and you're kind of
you want to be serious,
right? You want to distance yourself from that stuff.
Yeah.
So it just all comes full circle.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Actually, I never thought about that. It comes full circle.
And I don't know that that's true for every single person. I know I went through that. I think that's what we're seeing here. I think that, you know, we've seen this process with the grittiness and stuff, and there's definitely a market for this other campy type, more fun stuff. I'm hoping that at some point we do see, especially a Batman movie, and maybe it doesn't have to be completely over the top goofy, but I think it could be done more in the comic book style. Something that the 66 series did really well is just these odd angles with the camera and really colorful sets, you know, really simplistic, not like a lot of detail to the sets, but it was like it was ripped right out of the comic book. I mean, the guys who were producing the show, directing the show, they understood the comic book. They knew the elements that worked, and they knew how to bring it to life.
I don't know. It would be tough, but then again, I'm always proven wrong every time I say these things. Anyway, I feel it would be hard for a show like that to be on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do it as a show. I would. You're going to need to see success in this style first, and then everybody's going to latch onto it.
Yeah, I feel, because right now everyone's into the groove of the dark and grittiness.
Yeah,
thing, you know?
No, it hasn't run its course completely.
Yeah, it hasn't run its course yet.
Not at all.
I feel it will soon, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's ever a clean cut with this stuff. It's not like, okay, well, this was the date that we shifted from real and gritty to campy again. You know.
I feel after the Avengers Infinity War, I think that's going to be it for dark and grittiness.
It could be. I mean, because we're talking 4 years off.
Yeah, but because I feel like, yeah, I'm happy to see all these Marvel movies coming out.
Yeah.
But I feel just now it's just getting too much now for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like enough with these superhero movies.
Well, exactly. I'm starting to feel the same way with the TV stuff, because there's just so much out there, and I can't keep up with it.
And that's gonna happen with the DC stuff. They're gonna have Arrow, Flash, and they're gonna try get a couple more TV shows out there too. Probably.
Well, I'm concerned in come April, May, when the Netflix stuff hits, because now you're talking about another 4 or 5 series.
Yeah. And exactly. Yeah, the Netflix stuff. So now it's gonna be like, okay, enough of this stuff. What's next? Like, what's new?
Yeah.
And then that might, like you said, might be Universal Monsters might be the ones that take up next.
Right.
Because like you said, I'm surprised. It's funny because we did the podcast before all these things got announced. The Wolfman TV show got announced.
Yeah.
And then the Frankenstein TV show got announced.
Yeah.
So you were pretty on the ball. You were pretty on the money with that one. So.
Yeah, I mean, these long-standing properties, they're not going to let it die. They're going to try to keep it out there and almost force-feed it to people.
Yeah, it was just crazy when I saw that online. I'm like, Jesus.
I feel bad.
That guy was right.
I feel bad for creative people who just want to create something new, because it just becomes that much harder to put something new out there, because
everything's a rehash of something.
Well,
that's how I
But consumers are already so, it's already dictated what they're going to follow. You got Disney, Marvel, DC, you got the Universal Monsters, Star Wars. How much room for new product is there? I'm not saying that you won't see new product. I'm just saying that I think it's hard to get new product out there.
No, I do agree. Because people are set in their ways, and that's what I like. That's what they like.
Yeah.
Like how long have we been selling Star Wars toys and superhero toys?
Right.
It hasn't changed ever since I was little. Walking Toys R Us, it's still Star Wars stuff and superhero stuff.
As long as it's profitable, as long as it's making money, they're going to continue. To put
they always have their own aisles.
Yeah, they're not going to take a chance on new stuff if they've got other stuff out there.
And then like stuff in a little corner, like Ben 10, or like new stuff, new franchises, new properties coming out. They have a little corner in the back, and they will be there for like a couple of years, and then they'll disappear.
Right. Like I thought Powerpuff Girls was going to stay around. I think they just came out with a new series last year.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show you something that's even already established has trouble taking it to the next level, because the market is just so saturated.
The thing with Powerpuff Girls, I was a big Powerpuff Girls fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just ran its course. That's all.
Yeah.
Things run its course,
But did you know that there was a newer series last year? Yeah.
Yes. Trust me, I was watching that. The first day it came out, I was watching it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm a big fan of Powerpuff Girls, but like I always said, things become stale. It can't be always the 3 girls fighting villains all the time.
Mojo Jojo.
Yeah, and exactly. If Mojo Jojo got maybe his own series or something, like how Marvel was doing, like Black Panther's getting his own movie and Thor got his own movie, maybe in that sense it would have been longer, But the same thing over and over again. People are gonna get bored of it, and it's gonna run its time.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the same thing's gonna happen with the classic Batman TV series stuff. It's back now. But,
I was saying, it ran its time, like you said. Now it's making a comeback. You know?
And it's going to run its course again until people are tired.
Away. Yeah, exactly. That's how everything is, But styles and fads,
For right now, the series is hot. I'm happy. I love it. I love all the products. As a matter of fact, those Mattel figures I was talking about, they actually have a Batmobile for them. And the claim to fame on the car is that it is the first time that a Batmobile has been made for 6-inch figures.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that either. But I did notice, I saw it in Toys R Us a few weeks ago, and I was like, wow, I have a lot of Batmobiles, but I definitely don't have one this size. And then I noticed the label on there, and it said that it was the first time one was made in that scale.
Wow.
But it was all plastic. I have a lot of
I think I've seen it before.
Yeah, I have a lot of nice metal ones. So the plastic one's great to display, but I'm sure if you're going to play with that baby, it's going to break.
Yeah, well, the quality of the toys are not always good anymore, so.
Yeah, and the price is through the roof. So I can't even imagine what they would charge for an all-metal die-cast Batmobile these days. It would have to be, well over $100.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I've seen the one that's about 6 inches long go for over $100. For 6-inch figures, it would have to be probably $250. Yeah,
Jesus.
Exactly, right?
I miss those toys, the metal ones. They were so cheap back in the day. I don't know why they're so expensive now.
Yeah, well, we weren't using as much metal then because it wasn't as big of a market. And metal is now at a premium. I mean, you could take metal over to recycling center and anything, copper, aluminum, and they'll take all of it.
You know what? That's what I'll have to be my second job, is collect aluminum cans,
I'm telling you. You just get yourself a nice big truck, you go pick up those cans before the recycling place gets them. Well,
they're good money. And
in New York, too, right? What's great is you could take the cans from New Jersey and bring them over to New York and get a nickel that nobody ever paid.
Yep.
So, all right. So we've been talking about the classic Batman TV series, which came out on DVD last week. And there's an explosion of classic TV series Batman products. Check out the Action Figure King site. You can sort by Batman. You can sort by brands, Mattel, whatever you're looking for. And this is my co-host, Esteban.
I'm from Esteban TV. Don't forget to check out my Instagram. Take a lot of cool pictures of my action figures and stuff, and you can catch up on all my newest buys and purchases I get. So,
all right. So for another episode of the Popcast, I'm John Croce. We'll see you real soon.
Adios.